everyone. Welcome to Spirit Switchboard. I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in beautiful New Orleans. If you are interested in finding out more about what UPRN has to offer, you can head to uprntalkradio.com. You can find out more about the host and shows. There's always new things happening. And there's something for everyone. It is not all high strangeness and paranormal. So you can head to UPRN. Yes, sorry, folks. UPRNtalkradio.com and find out more. Hi, Heidi. Thanks for being here. Hope everybody's having a good day. We've had this crazy weather today. We had this warm weather. Kids are out in shorts. And the next thing you know, we've got inches of snow. It was crazy. Just crazy. You guys, Heidi, are you having crazy weather today too? Last week, we had Sasha Graham on the show talking about her new Vampire Tarot deck. So she was a returning guest. It's always fun having hurricane gusty winds there. Yeah, it's crazy weather today. And it's Friday the 13th. So happy Friday the 13th. So maybe that's part of it. It's crazy. Normally, I don't buy into all of that stuff. I think 13 is pretty lucky, and I don't buy into or play into that energy where it's going to be unlucky because I don't want to create it. But weird things have been happening all day. Hi, Carolyn. Thanks for your message earlier today. And thanks for being patient while I sent you pictures while we were traveling. Hi, folks. Hi, thank you so much for being here. Cold and hot, agreed. So our returning, I love having returning guests on, when we have a great conversation and they agree to come back on and we can continue those conversations. And today's guest is a returning guest as well too. Hi, Sue. Thank you so much for being here. Kiara West, thank you so much for being here. Julie Dow. Hi, thank you so much for being here. Have you guys in the chat, we have Dennis Estlock coming on, and he's been on before. He's a paranormal investigator, a medium, remote viewer, the owner of the cabin on 360. And we're going to be talking about all of those things: mediumship, remote viewing, stewardship of haunted locations. Those of you that have been following for a while know I love historical places, history, being able to, I don't even know, investigate I use the word investigate, but it's more than that. It's building relationships. There's certain locations that I go back to all the time, and you build relationships up with the spirits that are there. Regardless of what they were like when they were living. And I just feel more and more people are becoming consciously aware, more sensitive to frequencies, more open to those experiences, more people interacting. And how does that, how do they approach haunted locations? How does that affect them? How do they engage the energy that they bring? And these are some of the things that I hope to talk to Dennis about today. Hi, Carrie. Well, you guys are moving so fast today. Thanks for being here. How's the weather in Calgary today? Love the feeling, the old history, walking through old buildings and towns. I do too. Hi, Sandra. Thanks for chiming in. Are you guys getting like crazy weather in Prince Edward Island too? It's funny, Carolyn, I was singing that song in my head earlier. Hi, Teresa. Thank you so much for being here. Okay, folks. So Dennis Estlock is a medium, remote viewer, and paranormal investigator with over 2 decades of experience. A lifelong experiencer, Dennis now owns the Cabin on 360 in Mechanicsville, Virginia, an actively haunted property on historic battlefield land where he hosts investigations, events, and fundraising efforts. Please welcome to the show, Dennis.
Hey, Carolyn. Thanks for having me, hon.
Oh my gosh, it's a pleasure. I was seeing the event that you've got coming up in May, so that's what triggered the message to you to see if you'd want to come back on so you can promote the event in May that you've got happening. That looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's Cabin Con, which this will be our second year, May 15 and 16. And it's kind of just a gathering of friends and let them set up vendor tables. I want to have presentations done. I've got a couple of workshops. I have a amazing few speakers at this point lined up, but one of them is Kim Sage. And
I love Kim. I love
she
her
is
so much.
such a sweetheart.
She truly, truly is. And she works with a sense of authenticity and integrity
Yes.
and compassion for both the living and those in spirit. I adore her. She's been on a number of times and has helped me personally too. So I adore her.
That's awesome. Yeah, she's so she works closely with another team so I have my own team. It's Commonwealth Researchers of the Paranormal.
Right.
And then she works with Fredericksburg Paranormal Research and Investigations,
Right.
FPRI, and they're at Bell Grove this weekend, I think. But we all work together. We're trying this thing that we've all heard about it, and it seems to be about as elusive as the Loch Ness Monster, called para-unity.
High five, my friend.
But it does exist. You just have to find people that are in this for the right reasons, that their heart's in the right place. And it is amazing, the circle that I am part of and honored to be part of. You know, FPRI, another group is Pandora's Peregrination, and just such a wonderful group of people that we all get together, we all do what we need to do, and it's for the general cause of just let's connect with spirit and see what we can learn about that side.
Yeah. What I love too is the there's no competition, there's no comparison. There really is just holding that time, space, and energy with one another, and we can learn from one another. Like that, we are open enough to understand that we're all still learning, and that's important.
Yeah, and the only competition we have is with ourselves to be better than we were last time.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it is amazing when you get people like that all together, what you can learn in this field and what you can garner from spirit, not just in answers, but in helping locations or helping a family in need that's having issues in their home, or, you know, it just, and it's very fulfilling to be able to do that.
Yeah. Thank you, Martha.
Oh, hi.
We appreciate you helping Dennis out.
It's a chore, but I love it.
No, she doesn't.
Are we going home?
Yes. So for the listeners and viewers, I am on the disabled list at this point. I had a argument with gravity and I lost. So I am currently in a very large boot for my right ankle that is screwed, glued, pinned, and nailed back together. So my best friend and lead volunteer with the cabin, Martha, say hi, Martha.
Hi, Martha.
Is stepping up to have my 6, which I think is wonderful. I couldn't ask for a better person.
Again, it's that para-unity.
Yes.
He holds me to it. It's got me by the neck right now.
That's funny. Oh, we may lose. We'll see how the connection works because it looks frozen at the moment. So we might
I,
be in
I
and out.
lost, there we go.
Yeah,
I lost Wi-Fi. Once
yeah,
it broke Wi-Fi, it had to reestablish on the cell network. So we should be good though.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a matter of, all of us have the same ideas. We want to know what's on the other side. We want to be able to protect, preserve, and help historic locations. And,
Mhm.
so we get together and we just have a blast and do what we love to do.
Yeah, I love that. I and it's the history and it's the relationship with the spirits that you create too, right? It's there's a relationship that happens, and um yeah, I find that part very fascinating and rewarding and exciting as well too. I don't know if we do you feel that we can learn all the answers? I don't think that we're allowed to know everything.
That's the key. We will learn just so much, but there are things that I don't think they're permitted to tell us.
Mhm.
Like when you went through my bio, it says with, more than a couple of decades of investigating. And I've asked on so many occasions, can you tell us what it's like on that side? Um, I don't think they're allowed to tell us.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we can get some things like, is there a sense of time? Can you feel a sense of emotion? Is there empathy on that side? And I've gotten affirmatives on those, but there's so many other questions that we have that I don't think we're allowed to know till we're there.
Yeah, I agree. Carrie, I just want to reassure you that Dennis is not driving.
He's
He is
driving.
Stop! Stop that!
Says the driver's ed teacher.
I'm in fairly good hands anyway.
He's princess passenger today.
Oh, you believe it? That is all him. Don't let him fool you.
Yes, Carrie is
Drive
Carrie
chauffeur.
Carrie is just sharing. I have learned that you have to ask the right questions, and we talked a little bit about that prior to the show airing, before going live, about asking the right questions. So, what is can we talk about that, about asking the right questions?
Sure. So I think a lot of times spirits, and especially in locations, if you're going, if you're investigating a private residence where the spirits aren't talked to or interrogated on the weekly basis, then the traditional old humdrum run of the mill, how did you die? When did you die? Those are fine because you're trying to establish that information to see how you can help a family. But in a location that gets investigated by teams, either nightly or even just weekly, they're going to get tired of those questions. So you have to think outside the box.
That's
What
right.
was your favorite cake? Um, and, Carrie,
I'm a pie girl, so I always ask about pie.
yeah, well, and I think you had a wonderful question that, like you said, we talked about this before the show. Your question, I think, is wonderful. Did you have a dog? What was your dog's name? What
Mhm.
kind of dog did you have? Those are the things that I think spirit are more inclined to answer in your heavily investigated locations,
Yeah.
because it's not the typical humdrum thing. And another thing that I tell teams that come in, or when we're hosting a public investigation like the charity events, and I've got 40 or 50 guests, I'm always telling them, don't go in there and treat it like an FBI interrogation. They're going to
Yeah.
shut down. If you go in with that, when did you die? How did you die? What did you die of? They're just going to get tired and they're going to shut down on you. Keep
Yeah.
it friendly. I did, we did a group event just the other week, and I stepped up in front of one of the women there. And I'm like, if you walk in like this, and I'm standing right in front of her, and I'm like, is there anybody here who wants to talk to us? And I'm just staring straight at her face. And I'm like, now, you as a transparent American can see me, but I can't see you. And you're looking at me like I'm stupid because I'm asking, is there anybody here? And meanwhile, you're going, I'm right in front of you. Just walk in and talk to them like you're an old friend coming by.
Yeah. Yeah. especially, well, what does it feel like at the cabin for you stewarding that property and investigating and having people come onto the property? How has it changed from prior to ownership to being there more and owning it? Has it changed at all?
Yeah, I'm a lot broker and poorer than I was.
Yeah. That, you know
But
what? That was one of the questions, like personally, how has it changed you? And that is part of it. I think that people don't necessarily understand. Like, I talk about that when I take people to places. There's a donation box for a reason. You know,
yeah,
the
yeah, it's not. All right, so I have overhead. I have a lease payment to make. I have a power bill to pay. I have cable bill to pay. Um, if something breaks in the buildings, I'm responsible for it. Plus, I want to improve the property. Um, we spent a couple of $1,000s last year, late summer, to go through and clear back the brush and everything to open the space up a little bit more. And we have an area that, so at the cabin on 360, one of the buildings there is a little brick rancher. And there was a 12-year-old girl on that property that was SA'd and unalived by her half brother. So we're clearing and making a flower garden in her honor. That cost money. So all of these things add up. I want to do we're sit on battlefield from the battles of the Civil War. So I've got a Confederate area that I'm opening up to make an encampment, and a Union area. And, this requires equipment. Those are, they're big tasks. And I'm also going to do a Native American site there and honor the natives that were there. And all of this takes money. And if I do just enough to pay the bills, to pay the lease, to pay the power bill on an average month, if I book the full weekend each month, I'm still falling short. So there's a lot of extra things that have to go in. We're having to do public events. We're having to raffle off nights of investigating. I just raffled off an Obelisk 6 device.
I saw that. Yeah.
That's a cool. But so all of these things go in to keeping the place up and running. It's not that, and I've got some of the lowest rates around, but it's not that I'm trying to line my pockets with gold, so to speak. I'm trying to keep a little bit so I can progress and make the property a little better. The basement hadn't been waterproofed in years, so I had to go spend a few $100s buy the waterproofing paint. If the sump pump goes bad, I've got to replace that. It's on me. So, locations that have these exorbitant prices, they also have employees. I'm fortunate enough that I have a crew of volunteers. I've got my little core group of about 5 volunteers that I can rely on that do an amazing job.
Yeah.
But just monthly expenses. I have to carry a $2 million insurance policy.
I don't think people realize that part either, right? The insurance part of it too, like all the financial aspects in running a place and keeping it accessible.
I didn't either. I didn't realize either. And now I'm going, oh, I was dumb. I shouldn't have done this.
People romanticize it, right? People romanticize what it would be like to own a haunted location, and then the reality of it is very different than the romanticized version of it.
Yeah. And it's not only a matter of keeping the buildings and the land itself in good repair and making improvements there. It's also a matter of now I am the steward of all the spirits that stay there.
That's right.
I am the guy that has to make sure that if a team comes in and disrespects them, I have to handle that. I wouldn't let you walk into my best friend's house and disrespect them without me kicking your tail. And all these spirits that are here are part of my little circle that I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
And I think it is a personal responsibility that they get respected.
Yeah.
There's a lot more that went into this than I really looked at the very beginning. Would I do it again? Yes.
Yeah. Well, and they being those in spirit probably want you to. They want to line everything up because you take that responsibility so respectfully and personally. I think they know when they are being supported and when they are not.
I mean, I
just want to bring
can't.
up.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I was going to say, I can't tell you how many times I have sat in either the rancher or the log cabin just by myself and talked to the spirits there and told them, thank you so much for interacting with the guests here. It helps and it goes a long way in protecting this property and protecting you guys. And that's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
I've been cussed out by them a time or two, but
So I helped with a fundraiser with the Ontario Paranormal Society at a museum, and there's a cantankerous energy there for sure that can be quite nasty, and the feeling is it's actually a mimic, and there's some nastiness that happens, and that's always the comment that is made during that time. We are here to raise money to preserve this space for you, and for other people to learn about and to maintain history. If once it's gone, there'll be generations that don't know anything about it. If it's not maintained as well too, it will just be lost. The history will be lost.
well, prime example. So the battles that took place on the land that I'm on are named the Battle of Bethesda Church. So Bethesda Church was an actual church that sits, I don't know, I can throw a rock over to that piece of dirt. They're building a brand new school on it right now.
Oh, yeah. Wow. So, Kira, I'm just going to bring up some of these comments. Sorry, Dennis, just let me get caught up here. Thanks for being here, my friends. David Wilson is here. That has to be one of the best questions I've heard anyone ever ask while doing a paranormal investigation, is asking the other side what it is like to go thinking outside the box again. Carrie is sharing, my kids told me they don't like to be reminded of their deaths. They just want to be passed over to the other side. Carolyn Lee is sharing, when you say keep it friendly, I wonder, do they carry the same etiquette, social interactions from the era that they came? Like if you lived in castle, upper class, would they see us as underlings and not worth their time? Or so high in class, we don't know how to speak to them with etiquette they know?
Yeah, I think that's one where they know the purpose, they know our energy, whether we're at their class level from their time or not. I think they understand our purpose more so than our social standing, so to speak. I don't think to them there is a hierarchy or a social standing. I would hope not, anyway.
I don't feel that there is, but I do feel that they pick up on our intention. I feel they know our intention before we even land. I also feel that they can, that collective consciousness that we're all tapped into and part of one. I think they know who's going to show up ahead of time. They know who's going to be there. All of that stuff starts happening long before the 6 p.m. Meet in the parking lot. It happens prior.
I'm a firm believer that they know we're coming before we know we're going.
I agree 100%. Kiara West is just asking, where is this at? So we kind of just jumped into the conversation. So there, for those people who are new to the Cabin on 360, can you give us some history?
So we're situated about 15 miles outside of Richmond, Virginia. We're settled on the battlefields from the battles of Bethesda Church during the American Civil War. And we sit 3 miles away from another battle that is very historic, known as Cold Harbor. And Cold Harbor has the significance it has because of the number of dead. And it exceeded an 80% death rate, which is the highest per capita of the entire Civil War. So all the men that, well, not all, but a majority of the men that were going to Cold Harbor marched through and fought through our piece of property to get to that battle. So we have a very significant site. It was actually the starting point for the battles of Cold Harbor. But we have, if you want to go even further back in time than that, we had Revolutionary War march right through our property. Then prior to that, all the way back into the 1630s, when the European settlers were starting to come in and pushing the natives off the land. So we just have layer after layer after layer of history on this piece of property that I don't think I've begun to get through all the layers of this onion as I peel it back and learn what took place here.
Or if we're allowed to know all the layers of it. And I feel they can pick and choose who they want to share the information with. Like they feel in alignment with somebody, whatever energy they're bringing. So they'll share that puzzle piece with them. And I love that you're bringing that community together, because the community will be able to get all the puzzle pieces to get all the answers, or that as many as we're allowed to know.
I still think there are some parts that we're just not allowed to know in general. And so I got called out to Chicago years ago to speak at an event that Ursula Bielski hosted called Chicago Ghost Con. While I was out there, I got the chance to listen to Chris Fleming do his presentation. And he explained his near-death experience. And the part that stuck with me most, he said he was in the corner of the emergency room watching the doctors and nurses work on his body. And then his favorite actress, for whatever reason, was the one that came and said, "Hey, come with me. I got something to show you." Took him out of the emergency room. He said, once we walked through that door, it was the most beautiful pasture I'd ever seen. The flowers were the most vibrant. The grass was the greenest grass I've ever known. I could feel what the grass felt as the breeze went by and touched it. It's like, I asked at that moment, is this heaven? And the response he got back was, this is my heaven. Yours might be 1,000 times more beautiful than this, but you're not ready yet. I have to take you back. So I think if that is truly the case, that we design our own heaven, I think they're not allowed to tell us what it's like truly over there, because I think too many people that are just absolute warriors and they fight through everyday struggles and they fight through those things that would take down a weaker person. I think they would go, you know what? It's just so beautiful over there. I'm just going to give up anyway and exercise free will and take themselves home.
So that's interesting. My grandpa, anyway, Chris Fleming connected with my grandpa, and my grandpa had a near-death experience, and he saw flowers, wild roses, fields of wild roses, and all the horses that his family ever owned, and all of his brothers and his dad. And he said, I know that I'm not scared to die now, because when I die, I'm going to this space to be with my family, the horses, and this space. And I had an experience when I was giving a reading and saw through this person's eyes. It was a very different reading for me. And you and I both remote view, and how we work, I feel it's very similar, but it was very different for me. It was really very much being put inside this person's body as he had a very traumatic death. And then they showed me him wrapped gauzy material floating, and what I perceive as angels, thousands of them all around, and his family, and there was singing, and there's colors I can't describe, I don't have words for. I got very weepy because it was the most unconditionally loving frequency I'd ever tapped into before. And they showed me he just wasn't ready to talk yet because he was in that healing place, and to come back at another time and he would be able to come forward and share information. And that's what we did. We waited a little bit, then we tapped into it again, and he was able to come forward and share, and he was in a peaceful place. But I got into a funk for a while because that was home. I was like, oh my God, we're here at Earth School. This sucks. Like, I just wanted to be where that unconditionally loving space was. But it is a very big reminder that we can create that unconditionally loving space here, if we choose to, right? Like, how we can shift, at least personally, and see how far that ripples out around us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge believer in the energy that I put out, I get back.
Mm-hmm.
And if I put out nothing but a positive energy, and I try my best to put out a positive energy and a positive light, I get that back. And I think the universe knows when I'm down. Like right now with this foot, I am down. But the universe has stepped up. My friends have stepped up, and other folks that I didn't even know I knew have stepped up and done some amazing things just to remind me that the universe will look out for you when you do right by the universe and by others.
Yeah, I agree.
But you mentioned that most loving feeling. I did a connection for a woman. I wouldn't know her if she walked up to me in a grocery and hugged me tomorrow. But messaged me and said, "Can you really connect to loved ones?" And I got the image of a little boy, and I heard him say, "Tell her," and this one's probably going to hit me because the energy and the emotion that goes with this one is just, for lack of better terms, it's an ass kicker. But I see this little boy, and he says, "Tell her I felt more love in that one decision than I would have felt in my brief existence."
Mm.
And I don't know what this means, but that's what I shared with her.
Right.
She sends back, "OMG, thank you so much." And I said, "He wants me to tell you that he can now run and play in the sunshine and play in the grass. And he goes fishing with Paw Paw every day. But he wouldn't have been able to do that without you giving so much and making that decision." And I don't know what the hell it means. It doesn't mean anything to me. It's not my message. So I'm not going to try to figure it out, which is one of the things that we have to learn first is don't try to decipher it, just deliver it.
Right. That's
But
right.
as it turns out, during her pregnancy, she found out that the child was going to be extremely deformed. It was going to be extremely unhealthy, would probably live a short period of time strictly in the hospital and never get to go anywhere. And she chose to abort the pregnancy to prevent that child from having that life. And then I get this older gentleman that presents himself to me, and he's got his arm around the little boy, and he kind of does one of these, like, "Look beyond me." And he says, "We're home. I've got him, and we're good."
Yeah.
And I described him to her, and she's like, "That's my pawpaw."
Mm.
Okay. So, it didn't take them explaining to me what was on that side or how it felt or any of that. All it took was them giving that message to her. And sometimes it's us getting in our own way to receive that message.
Yeah. Well, I had this conversation with someone recently about, they had said you need a thick skin when you do this for a career. And I said, I don't think I have a thick skin, right? I don't think that I have a thick skin, but anyway, you learn to let go, right? I had someone say to me that they loved watching me work because when people tell me no, I just go, and just keep going. Because it's not for me to figure out, right? It just is what it is. I have a question, and those ones are powerful when it comes to losses, pregnancy losses in whatever form, if it's chosen ending, a miscarriage, adoption, any of that stuff. Those are very tender ones, raw sessions to walk through, and powerful and life-changing for people who may feel so disconnected from the other side. And that plays a very big part in what we're able to do, that there is no disconnection, that the connection's always remaining, that love continues, and that healing can happen at any time, right? Like it's very heavy responsibility.
Yeah, for this woman, it wasn't a super recent event where she had to end that pregnancy. It had been a year or more. And she said she was carrying that burden and that emotional guilt that, could I have done it differently? Was there a better opportunity or a better option? And
Yeah.
there really wasn't. Even the little boy admitted that, his brief existence would have been miserable.
Right. Okay, there's so many questions. And I have a question too when we're talking about our energy and what we bring. So regarding investigations, but I want to pop back into some of this stuff. Lisa Morrissey, hello. It's so good to see your name up here. I hope that you are doing well. Another medium, folks, in our chat. And Lisa, if you've got anything that you would like to chime in and share to be a part of the conversation, please feel free to do so. Jody Schott, another medium and sensitive in our chat. We've got all of our folks. Sherry Madigan, thank you so much for being here. Ma James. Intuitively, I would think that they are past the politics of this world and have the answers to their belief system, whether they were seeking them or not. Agreed. I think they do. We have a learning curve when we cross over, things that we need to play and learn. There was Julie Dow, I saw your question, so I am getting it. I am getting to there. Carolyn was asking, because you had mentioned a school being built on the property. So would you be afraid for the children who would be inhabiting the new school because children are more sensitive? I have a couple of thoughts about that.
I don't know that I'd be afraid for them, not by the spirits, but more so by the living. And the reason I say that, when, let's say the little first grade Johnny sees a soldier there, a spirit, and tries talking about it, they're going to question whether or not he is having a psychotic episode. Maybe he's got schizophrenia. He can see people that aren't there. He's hearing voices that nobody else hears. Is there something wrong? Do we need to medicate him? That's my fear for those children. Yes. Not by the spirits, because the spirits are going to look out for them.
That was the reality for my daughter. In grade 4, her elementary school was kitty corner. On every other corner was part of the cemetery. So the children's section, the mausoleums, and then the rest of it. And she was new to that school because we had moved. And she was like, Mom, the spirits are a lot. She said, I go to the bathroom, they're there. And I said, so you know what you need to do. You are there for school. You tell them what the boundaries are. And if they need help, you tell them, Mommy and you will be there on Saturday. We'll go Saturday and we can talk to them and we can help them and we can do those things, right? So we made a plan, but she tried talking to somebody at the school and it didn't necessarily go well. But again, as energy workers, are we able to hold or shift the land there for that for the kiddos where the school is being built? Can we do healing work for the land? I think that's a possibility as well.
Yeah, and I did a no-no a few years ago. So I ended up in a little bit of legal trouble because I got
You want
stupid.
to talk about that right now publicly? Are you sure you want to share about that? Are we
Hey,
good to share now?
I own my mistakes.
I know.
I own them. If I ever ran for office, they wouldn't have to dig deep to find dirt on me because I throw it on the table myself.
Transparency is important. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I got a DUI. And here in Virginia, they automatically send you to counseling. So, in speaking with my counselor, which her and I hit it off very well, I had to go through 6 weeks of classes with her. But we got along very well. And at the end of my time with her, we're just sitting in her office, and I kind of looked at her and I see this woman present behind her, and I'm like, you know what? There's no better time than the present. I'm going to do this. Solange, let me ask you, with a doctorate on the wall, a master's degree on the wall, if someone were to tell you that they can see, hear, and talk to people that others can't, what would you think? And she's like, well, first thought would be some sort of psychosis, like schizophrenia. Wait, do you hear voices? Yeah. Kind of like the one that I'm hearing now that tells me your aunt wants me to let you know she's very happy that you're the one that got her black pearl necklace and you keep it in the jewelry box on top of your jewelry box on your dresser. And you talk to her frequently and tell her how much you miss her and how much you appreciate her pushing you to succeed. And of course, at this point, I've got,
Yep.
and then it was how the F do you know any of this? And I went, she's standing right there telling me, and you get the head whip.
Yeah.
Well, this progresses, like I share this with her, and her next question to me is, you realize what you've done, right? And I'm like, yeah, I gave you a message from a loved one. And she's like, no, 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 no. Much more beyond that. Give you a little bit of peace. Well, yeah, that too, but you've also shit on every ounce of education that I've got here because every book here tells me you can't do that. And I went, yeah, well, I'm sorry, but you can. And then we get to the next issue. I've got a young boy that presented himself to me that's standing off in the corner. And he's telling me, tell her that her patient, Bobby, doesn't need medicated. Please don't let her medicate him. He sees me and we talk, and he's the only one I talk to on that side. So, of course, I share this with her. So you've got a little patient, I want to say he's about 10. His name's Bobby, that he's got an imaginary friend, little Johnny, right? How do you know that? His imaginary friend is standing in the corner, cheering for your patient that you don't medicate him. He doesn't need medicated.
Yeah.
And that's what it came down to, was literally me proving to her that this works, this can be done, that you can talk to those on that side. And I probably kept that child, I hope I kept that child from being medicated. And that's what scares me most about them building on this historic site, an elementary school. It's going to give children problems because they're going to see these spirits, and the spirits are going to be unintentionally interacting with them from time to time, or they're going to see them or hear them, something. And then all of a sudden you've got this little student that's telling mom and dad or telling the teacher that, have you ever seen the soldier that stands in the corner over there? He talks to me. And now they're going to think the child needs medicated.
The Pollyanna rose-colored glasses, Pollyanna in me and rose-colored glasses that I prefer to wear, or like to wear, would hope that because there's so much more awareness now, more people are having these conversations are becoming much more easier now than they were 20 years ago, that there'll be support for those kiddos that are in that in that space, and you're right beside them. So who knows? Like maybe there will be, maybe it's being built for a reason, with you as the neighbor. So
I hope so. I hope so. You know, if we're not stewards of our history goes away. And if we're not stewards of the spirits,
that's
they
right.
get restless and they get to be a little cantankerous. So
Yeah.
hopefully, my stewardship of the spirits that are in that immediate area, we know they have a great communication system on that side.
So
So I'm hoping the spirits at my location have told the spirits at that location, come down here and leave the children alone.
yeah.
Hopefully.
Julie Dow was asking who built the cabin and how old it is. How old
So,
is it?
so the land was bought in July of 1978 by Jones Realty and Construction. They built the cabin to be a model home for log cabin sales. So it was built in 1979, 1980. The brick rancher next door was somewhere pre 1952. The earliest information I can find on it is simply an aerial photograph showing the building. But I can't find any records at the county courthouse showing that house. It wasn't even on the survey plat when they bought the land in 78.
Wow.
But I don't know why it's become a gathering point, so to speak. My only thought is well, when I first started doing this, my first banner, the tagline, so to speak, was "What has history done to the land?" And I think that is why it's such an active location and why there are so many spirits there. I mean, I'm going to take a ballpark guess somewhere between 5 and 7 spirits in the log cabin alone. But we always have passerby or pass throughs. The Brick Rancher, I think, has at least 4 to 6. And then we always end up with pass through visits there too. So I think it's kind of a beacon for the other spirits around.
Do we open the door though with the tools that we're using? You know, when we've got those pass throughs, are we opening the door and inviting more through with the tools that we're using? Even
I think,
us, like we're a tool,
oh yeah, I've
said
been called
in
a
a
tool a
positive
lot.
way. Ditto.
But yeah, I do think that the tools, the instruments, just the intents,
Yeah.
that energy that we're putting out of come talk to us, I think that invites more passer throughs. And I've asked a lot of people, well, I get asked often, what do you think of Ouija boards? I'm like, I have no problem with it if you know how to do it. As long as you know what you're doing, I think it's fine. You know, if you know how to open it, how to conduct the session and how to close it, it's no different than your front door. And then I ask people, well, let me ask you, would you open your front door, just leave it stand open, step out onto your porch and yell as loud as you can, hey, is there anybody out here who wants to come in and talk to me? Come on. And then just leave your door open when you're done.
Yeah.
And they're like, hell no, I wouldn't do that. And I'm like, then don't do it with a Ouija board.
Or an app on your phone.
It's no different. And I also think that, yeah, and it's all intent.
Yeah.
Um, I compare any instrumentation that we have to a Ouija board. It is asking the same thing. With a Ouija board, we are setting our fingers on that planchette and we're asking spirit to come through and interact with this. With a voice recorder, we're asking spirit to step up and interact with this. With K2 meters, REM pods, any device that we're using, we're asking spirit to come up and interact with that device.
Yeah.
What is the difference between anything else that I lay out on the table and a Ouija board? The fact that our fingers are touching the planchette, that's not a difference because your fingers are touching the voice recorder. So
Yeah.
there's no difference. It's all
I
intent and education.
agreed. At the education part, agreed. The education part. I started doing paranormal dining with the dead. So I've been doing dining with the dead at restaurants for like 14 years now. So the paranormal is at locations that have that haunted history, and I bring all my paranormal equipment, and then I'm able to educate people. This is how it works, why it works. We can't do data research in the restaurant because everything's turned on, so we have the influences, but it's a good way to educate everybody about the influences and how it will influence the equipment. But I'm loving it. I love the education part of it. It's super important. Oh, look, Miss Rhonda's in the house. So Rhonda Harris, hello.
Hello, Ms. Rhonda. Yeah, there's another gentleman local to my area, John Cushman, and he does dining with a ghost or
Love
dinner
it.
with a ghost.
Yeah.
He does dinner with a ghost. And it's kind of the same thing. He teaches about the equipment. He serves a 4-course meal, sets a table spot up off by itself, full table setting for that, with a lot of instrumentation around on the table. And it's just inviting spirit to come join him for dinner.
Yeah, I love
I
it.
think it's a phenomenal idea. He and I are in talks about how we're going to set it up and what the logistics are of doing it at the cabin.
Oh, I think that's fantastic. I'd love to do that. I want to comment on this really quickly. Kiara West, I see your comment. I've worked with so many people with developmental disabilities for years, diagnosed with schizophrenia, and they just seem to see spirits to me. So, going back to what you were talking about, Dennis, there's a fabulous book. Oh my gosh, very long time ago, 19 years ago, when my kiddo was 2, I had my first podcast. It was for parenting kids that were intuitive. That was my very first podcast that I ever had. And one of the guests I had on was Bill Stillman, and he wrote a book called Conversations with God. So if you do work with kiddos that are people who are nonverbal, it's Autism and the God Connection. Autism and the God Connection, and you might find it very interesting. Anyway, I still do, and relative today, even though it was like 20 years ago. And that's part of it, being able to connect with them on a different frequency and a different level. Oh, hello, Mish. Mish is chiming in from Australia. It's good to have you here. You mentioned something earlier, and I want to come back around to it. And you talked about the energy that we put out, we get back, and being mindful of that energy. So, it is something that I'm aware of as well too. So if we take that concept and that belief system, how do we incorporate that with investigations? If you're feeling off, or when do you know to tap out? How does our energy affect or influence an investigation? What do you notice, or do you stop it? Do you intervene? Do you give tips to new investigators or to groups before they're going into the cabin about the energy that they're bringing, or know when to tap out, anything like that?
So with the Brick Rancher, there's what I truly believe to be an elemental spirit in the basement. And with that particular entity, it likes to play in your mind. So it will cause anger and potential violence, or at least violent thoughts. So I always tell people, if you notice your emotions change abruptly, or if you look at your best friend and go, man, that Dennis dude in the introduction and everything, he's really weird, isn't he? And your friend looks at you and goes, I'll eat your soul. Give him a break. Take him outside for 5 minutes. Just let him get some air. So yeah, there is warning on this, because we all have to be cognizant of what we're taking on board. Not everybody is empathic. Not everybody is empathetic in any way, shape, or form. not everybody is the sponge for energy that you and I do. Like I can walk into a room and I can tell you who's sad, who's happy, who's mad. Uh, and I take it all on board, but not everybody can. So you have to kind of make sure that those are the ones that know if you change, take a break. As far as what we put out, if you go into an investigation and you're cracking jokes and you're having a good time, um, that is the best energy that you can put out.
I
Um,
agree.
on my rule board at the cabin, rule number 1 is have fun. And then the very last rule is see rule number 1. That,
That's
that's
fun.
just the way I believe in it. You have to have fun. And Spirit's going to partake in that fun. It's not going to be a matter of, I'm a firm believer that, and pardon my French on this one, if you're an asshole in life, you're going to be an asshole in death. Just because you get a new form, a new shape, a new plane of existence doesn't mean you get a new personality. You're still going to be exactly what you were. So,
Unless
by
healing happens, right? Like they'll show me that they were an arse when they were here, but here's what I've learned from this and how I'm trying to make amends. And I think there are some spirits that stay in that stuck space and choose with free will not to elevate up in their frequency, and so they do remain an arse.
Yeah, and for the most part, that's the only variable. Have you ever watched the movie Ghost? Had
Yeah.
Patrick Swayze and Whoopi Goldberg.
Yeah.
I love that show, and I think it was much closer to reality than what even the writers realized. When he's trying to contact his wife, Demi Moore, and she doesn't hear him, she's oblivious to him, even though he's standing right beside her, screaming in her ear. Or when he's in the subway trying to move the bottle cap,
Oh yeah.
trying to kick the can and falls on his keister. And the other spirit finally walks over to him and goes, "You're not doing this right. You have to focus all of your energy on that, and then you can flick the bottle cap." I think that is a lot more of what it's like on that side than they even realize. And I do this with a lot of people that question me. I'm like, when you first came into this plane of existence, could you walk? Well, no, I was a baby. Oh, could you talk? Well, no, I was a baby. Oh, and on that side, they're babies too. The trouble is we don't know how long.
Yeah.
But I think there's also if you want to call it this, a free pass, a little window of time when they first get there where they have the ability to come back and let us know that, hey, I'm here, I'm okay. And they try to make it a little easier for us to deal with the fact that they are gone because they're perfectly fine at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And why that activity is so intense in that first little bit after they transition, and why it sort of eases up after a while. Is one of the things. Oh, Carolyn. Sorry, Dennis. Did you have something you?
No, I'm just trying to read. That's why you see me doing this. Because on my screen, it's about that big.
So Carolyn is asking, do you get spirits that follow you home or nasty ones? And, so I had when you were on last time, did you get a photo of that elemental?
I did.
Show us? Yeah, you showed us a photo the last time you were on of that elemental. It's a wild photo.
Now that one is at the cabin or in the Brick Rancher anyway. I have had spirits come home with me, and fortunately I have dogs. And dogs are extremely sensitive to energy. Their whole world is based on energy. At the time that I had one follow me home, we had 3 dogs. And normally when I get home from being gone, the dog's like, yay, yay, dad's home, dad's home. And tails are wagging, a little butt's wagging, and the head's bobbing. Well, this particular time, all three dogs did that usual, yay, dad's home, dad's. And they went to the other side of the room and laid down with their back towards me. Oh,
Wow.
okay. Something's off. I know what it is. I stepped outside. I did a grounding session. I did a cleansing and blessing on myself. And I told whatever was with me, you have to go back. You don't belong with me. You go to your home and leave me alone. You are not permitted to be here. I walked back in the house, and now the dogs are perfectly normal again. So it does happen. They can cling to you. Um, and it's not just from a haunted location.
That's
Let's
right.
say, going to the grocery, spirit there sees you and goes, wow, they look exactly like my long lost love from high school or whatever. Or they hear you in a conversation, or just your energy feels good to them.
Yeah.
They can stick to you.
Yeah. This little light of mine, bright above your head, right? Like it's that frequency. Agreed that they can show up from anywhere. It doesn't have to be necessarily a haunted location, for sure. Dennis, I'm going to do our station ID. I was supposed to do it at the top of the hour, so we're a little behind. So we're going to do it now so I don't get in trouble. So, folks, if you are just tuning in now, thank you so much for being here. You are listening to Spirit Switchboard, and I'm your host, Carrie Lynn Shellhorn, and you are listening to us live on the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. If you would like to find out more about the hosts or the shows that UPRN has to offer, you can head to uprntalkradio.com. There is something for everyone. You can access thousands of archived shows. It is not all high strangeness and paranormal. Today's guest is a returning guest, Dennis Estlock from the Cabin on 360. So we're very excited about having Dennis back on the show. Heidi, driving and listening, thank you so much for driving and listening. I hope that you are feeling well. Heidi's chiming in from Colorado. I'm so behind today. I started way too late, migraine and ickiness. The weather can create that, especially when you are extra sensitive. What happens if we forget the station ID? Well, I don't want to find out what happens if I forget the station ID. I get probably an email that doesn't say, happy hi Chiquita. It is a what the heck, Chiquita, you forgot this. We don't want to find out. You're welcome, Heidi. Dennis, are we all good? You're back on the road?
Yeah, we stopped back at my house, and my wife has now joined us, and we're headed for dinner.
Oh my gosh, that's yes. Where are you going for dinner? I'm all about snacks and food, man. It's all about food.
We have a Mexican restaurant called El Caporal, and they have a meal that I get it every time we go there. It is steak alambre, and it's got green onions and peppers and little cheese sauce and steak slices and the rice. Oh,
I'm all about goopy cheese too. Cheese sauce? I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't grow up around this stuff because I'd be the size of a house.
Well, I'm probably on my way. But so another question, as a medium, as someone who is extra sensitive, and even as an investigator, are you starving when you're done? Are you hungry? Like, does it take up a lot of energy for you?
With just a basic reading for somebody, not necessarily hungry, but tired. It does take a lot of energy. And depending on what it is, if I get emotionally run over by that connection, it's even worse.
I agree.
Like the one that I mentioned a little while ago with the little boy, that one took a huge toll on me. My wife walked outside. I was actually sitting on the back deck, and she comes outside to see me crying and looked at me like I was weird and goes, "What's wrong?" And I just showed her the screen and she went, "Gotcha." She went back inside.
Yeah.
But that one kicked my keister. You know, I don't know how long that woman had felt guilt or how severe that guilt was. I know it was somewhere around a year. That was the best answer she gave me for time frame. Um, but she did let me know that I was able to make her feel so much better and relieve her of a lot of that guilt. And the hardest part is if you think about the switchboard operator, like back in the 1950s, where you
Mhm.
would make a phone call and you'd go, "Hey, Helen, can you connect me over to Doris?" And Helen's sitting in the middle with a headset on and she's plugged into, uh, you know, Alice that's now talking to Doris, and you're in the middle listening to this. You're taking that energy and everything from both sides, and you're
Yeah.
getting run over.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And
It's
we're
like a
raising our
spirit
frequency.
switchboard.
Yes, kind of just like, and we raise our frequency. I've tried to, our frequency is just vibrating so high during that time. So then when we're done, there is that coming down. I get really cold as well, too, when I'm coming down from doing a lot of sessions or a really big event. I get very cold, but I find, just even a handful of chips or something fried or meat. I really crave meat when I'm done. I just want like part of a burger. I just need something that's super grounding, and then I'm good.
I like jerky.
Oh my
It goes,
gosh,
it
me
goes a
too.
long way.
I have it all the time in my car when we're doing investigations. I'm the snack girl, so it's always peanut butter cups and jerky. Those two things for sure.
Yeah, I got the privilege to go hunting, and I now have a fairly decent stock of venison jerky,
Oh,
and
yum.
oh,
Very yum.
it is so good.
I'm with you on that. And if James is still in the chat, he'll let you know that moose is part of that as well too. So,
One of these days, I want to try that.
well, we'll figure a way to make that happen. We'll figure out a way. Yeah, James is
Martha,
listening.
yeah, Martha's over here going. She wants in on this too. She loves to hunt.
Okay,
He is
so
the reason I started hunting again, because so when I moved to Virginia 30-ish years ago, um, I sold my weapons in Ohio, and I hadn't hunted at all down here. Then Martha and I become friends, and she's like, "Well, come on out to the farm and you can hunt with us." Really? So here we are. So I got my first deer this year in about 30 years.
oh wow, good for you. I love a venison roast. It's how we grew up. I grew up on a hobby farm, and my grandpa used to trap and hunt, and he had this little log cabin on the property, and he would uh, skin and tan, like stretch the hides and do all of that stuff. And I used to sit out there with him when he was doing all of those things. It's a core memory for me. And actually, Chris Fleming, when I chatted with him about my grandpa, he picked up on that. He drew a picture of it.
Nice.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Um, where we It's so funny, Mish, when you were talking about your dinner, Mish was asking what was for dinner, and then she asked everyone what their soul food was, what everyone's soul food. So everyone's talking food now in the chat.
I don't know that I would say that um, Mexican is necessarily my soul food. Um, I would have to say that any sort of large ribeye is my soul food.
Great.
Just
Steak.
cow, cow in general. That qualifies right up there with the best of everything.
Okay, I want to come back. I had all these questions, and I don't think I've asked hardly any of them. So I want to go back and make sure that now that I've got you, I don't want to. You're always welcome to come back.
I would love to anytime.
With more people investigating, has it changed the energy of the space? So that was one with the brick rancher. Because of the history there, and I believe you found the spot in the forest, right? Did you find the spot didn't somebody find the spot, or you were looking for the spot? If I'm sure I'm mucking up the story, so you might have to help me with that. It was Michelle. Is it Michelle? Melissa. I knew it was an M. Sorry for getting that wrong.
That's okay.
But where she wasn't there a spot that you were looking for out on the property, on the grounds?
Well, what we do know by police reports and a couple of deputies that I interviewed was after he took her life, he threw her body out her bedroom window and carried her off into the woods. Well, we didn't know exactly where, but we had suspicions. Well, Miss Martha, who is starting to learn her abilities, as we're walking through, she's like, I am just drawn over to this area. All right, let's walk over there. Well, there's always been these large, like metal screen hoppers, I guess. I don't really know what to call them, that had just a bunch of aluminum cans in them. And I always suspected that that was where Melissa had been, her body had been dropped anyway. But I'd never really focused much energy on that area. Well, we end up walking over through that area, and Martha just nopes out on me. She's like, nope, 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 I can't do this. Nope. And off she goes. Well, I think we figured this one out. When I finally get her calmed down and she shares with me why she did that, she said it was just too much. That was, she was letting me know that that's where she had been dumped like garbage. And I just couldn't take that. I couldn't take that energy. Okay, that makes sense. So now we have a very good feeling of where this 12-year-old girl's body was dumped like just common rubbish. And that's where we're going to create her flower garden and memorial garden.
Beautiful. That's a beautiful way to shift that energy, right?
Yeah, it's something that I can do that, one, honors her and makes that area for her not such a negative. It's somewhere that she can go that doesn't just remind her absolutely of the tragic time, but now it's something a little heartwarming because this is done to show you that you are loved.
Yeah, and remembered, right?
Yeah.
When you were sharing the story that my squirrel and Red Bull brain that I got going on today, well, between that and the Chihuahua brain, which is a whole other thing. When you were sharing that story about coming up to someone and saying, if I'm right in your face, how would you want to engage, right? When you were sharing that earlier, there is a theory, or people have a theory, that for some spirits, we would appear as the ghosts for them. Have you heard that?
I have heard that theory. What if they think we're the ghosts and they're the living?
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, what's to say that we're actually living real time? That we're not all just part of a giant scenario.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to quantify whether they think we're the spirit and they're the living. I would think if they were the spirit, or if they were the living and we were the spirit, rather, I would think I would notice changes around me in the environment, in my home, just the way the furniture sits. And I would hope that if I were the spirit, he wouldn't let me make such stupid decisions sometimes.
they're not allowed to intervene. Maybe they just made popcorn and want to sit and watch.
And they're just sitting back going, I know I know what my guardian angel looks like, and it's probably very close to this. Oh God, not again.
Crazy.
I know they're rubbing their temples nightly, going, I can't believe I got him through another one.
I think there are. Oh yeah, I agree to a point, and then I think they're just our biggest cheerleaders, which I like.
Yeah,
Okay, sorry.
I know that the day that I shattered my foot came off that roof. I know I had some guardian angels that were there protecting me because I could be in so much worse shape.
Well, how did that happen? Is it okay for me to ask? And you
Oh
don't have
yeah.
to.
Yeah, it's fine. So I was helping a buddy of mine that's retired. He has a garage that he had built, but needed a wood burning stove in place. So I helped him put the wood burning stove in. I was running the vent, the chimney up. So I was up on the roof. I had 6 screws left to do, putting some horizontal stabilizers in so the chimney didn't just fall over. And I had been back and forth across this roof half a dozen times with different materials and whatnot. And I got the last of my equipment over there and realized I left the screw gun on the scissor lift where he was at. And I come walking back. Well, I went to go get the screw gun, and there had been just a real light drizzle, and all of a sudden both feet left, and that was all she wrote. I shot down that chimney or down that roof like I came out of
Oh,
a greased ladder, greased slide, and 14-foot launch to the dirt.
oh, my Lanta.
But I will tell you this. There is not an Olympian on the planet that could have stuck that landing like I did that day. I stuck like a lawn dart.
Wow. Wow. So you are very fortunate that,
Yeah, I actually landed about 2 feet away from a wooden fence that would have devastated me, I think.
yeah. Wow. Well, life altering for sure. Would have been life altering for sure. Divinely watched over for sure. Everybody's still talking about food. Everybody's still talking about food in the chat.
All right, what is the most common food item they're talking about in there?
Currently lasagna. Currently lasagna.
Oh, I love that.
Currently lasagna. Okay, so I think we've kind of talked about that. One of the questions I wanted to ask was about mediumship. So for paranormal investigators, what do you think a good paranormal investigator could borrow from mediums, and what do you feel mediums can borrow or learn from disciplined investigators? And we're both, right? So we're kind of in that both world. And more teams use mediums now are more comfortable, but I know prior, like when I first came to Guelph and was looking to investigate, I was not necessarily welcomed as a medium into groups. It's different now, but how can we blend that? What can we learn from each other?
So I'm going to tackle that first question. What can investigators learn from mediums? And I would say empathy.
Oh, that's a good answer. I like that.
As mediums, we have to take on the energy that spirit is giving us, and we have to be empathetic to that, simply because we know what they're feeling. We know how it feels. We know what that emotion is. We know how crushing that pain can be mentally. So we have to be empathetic to them. And I think if investigators are more empathetic towards the spirit, they'll get a better result. And as far as what can we as mediums take from the basic investigators, um, I think I would go with a better sense of curiosity, because we don't ask a whole lot of questions. We just kind of, or at least the majority that I know, we just kind of sit there and wait for spirit to tell us instead of us prodding them through uh, what we need to know. I don't ask many questions when I'm doing an empathic or a mediumship connection. I let spirit tell me what they want to tell me, and that's pretty much all I get.
Oh, I'm nosy.
I try not to be.
1,000 questions. What about this? What about this? What about this? I'm pretty nosy.
I mean, I try not to be unless I've got a skeptical person that I'm giving the information to. Like the first time that I did a connection in front of my wife, prior to that, she had thought I had just finally flipped my last marble in. The cheese had slid off the cracker and I was done. And I'm like, no, honey, I truly do this. And she's like, well, how do you know what you're saying is right? And I said, because spirit's telling me and they're not going to lie to me. They have no benefit by that.
That's right.
And she was like, okay. Well, then she brings me a Post-it note home and stuck it on the table in front of me. And I'm doing evidence review from an investigation that prior weekend. And I looked at the Post-it note and I see this man's name. And then I hear this belly laugh, just this deep belly laugh. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do this. So I shut the laptop, took off the headphones, and I just looked at my wife and I said, all right, what about him? She's like, tell me about him. What do you get? So I actually grilled him so I could get specifics to give her that she would know I hadn't just lost my mind.
Right.
I think she was ready to have me committed, honestly. But, that gentleman did a great job letting me know some details that I wouldn't have known without asking.
Right. Well,
And of course, then he came back a few nights later and visited. I'm watching TV, just kicked back in my recliner. The wife's in her recliner over there. And I hear that belly laugh again. I'm like, oh, hell, here we go again. So I pay attention to him. And the only thing I did was I asked him, what can I help you with? And he's like, he tells me, tell my daughter, which called her by name, in the drawer to the right of the washing machine, she'll find her jewelry. So I tell my wife, I said, hey, you need to call so-and-so and tell her this is what I just got told. What? Trust me. So she calls the person that she is told to call, which was actually her friend to begin with, not mine, was actually a coworker with her. But she calls her and says, hey, Dennis says your dad tells him to let you know the jewelry is in the drawer to the right of the washing machine. Now, I didn't ask any more questions. I took that piece of information. He laughed and did his sign off when we were done talking was literally to walk away and wave over his shoulder. That was
love
it.
that.
But,
Love it.
daughter's like, well, why in the hell would my jewelry be there? I wouldn't have put it there in a million years. I've called the hotel. I've looked through my luggage 3 times and blah, blah. Why is oh, tell Dennis to tell Daddy thank you. Dad just wanted her to know that he'd stopped in. So he hid this bag of jewelry. She had just come back from a week-long business trip and couldn't find her jewelry.
And that's hard for people to wrap their heads around, that they can relocate
Yes.
things. They can relocate things.
And they do it, I think, well, some of them do it just to be a smart aleck.
Yeah.
Some of them do it just to let you know they've stopped by.
Yeah.
Maybe they're doing it to protect you. Any one of a dozen reasons.
To trust and believe that it's possible, that the connection's still there. I believe that also is a very big reason why they do that. Old school old school equipment, new school, um, new things. What do you personally like to use at all? If you use any equipment at all, what do you find works best? Is it a hit and miss, changes daily with the cabin? What do you notice?
All of the above. I
Love it.
like to mix it up. Um, I've got bells that hang on strings that you have to manually touch and interact with. And I have some of the latest gadgets that are on the market. Um, but my favorite, my standby go-to, no matter where I'm at, is just a simple voice recorder. And if I don't have one of my voice recorders with me, I'll use my cell phone. Download an app for your cell phone that's just named Voice Recorder, and it does wonderful. The same technology that is in your cell phone is in my highest dollar voice recorder that I've got. I think I think even with a skeptic, the hardest thing to counter when you have them there with you and go, let's do an audio session, and they hear a voice that they know wasn't audible. That starts them into that path of joining us as investigators going, I really want to know now. I heard this voice on a recorder that I know nobody said. And it starts that journey of curiosity, and it's so much fun.
I have really gained a passion for using Polaroid camera. I love it when stuff shows up in a Polaroid camera, like on the film, and you just can't deny it. You can't Photoshop that. It's right there. And it doesn't happen very often that we get something, but when we do, it gets me very excited. I love using the Polaroid camera.
And I've got a couple of micro cassette recorders that I use sometimes in lieu of the digital one.
Yeah,
You can't alter that.
that's right. Well, and you can't flip it around. You can only record on the one side, and then that's it, right? Like you can't flip.
Yeah, you can't overlay on it.
That's right. Yeah, I have an old school tape recorder that I bring sometimes as well too. Yeah, I love that. I would say I use my dowsing rods all the time, but I use my dowsing rods to find my glasses, to find my keys. And it's kind of that kind of week. My dowsing rods come out a lot.
Yeah, I don't trust myself enough with dowsing rods to stay stable enough. And, unless I hold true faith and trust in an investigator that's holding dowsing rods, I think it's very subjective.
Right.
So,
for me, it's generational. So my great grandfather was like, this is where this all comes from, right? So he used to give readings and tea leaf readings and was a medium and was psychic, all of those things. And then my grandpa, his son, used to witch wells with the willow, like he'd willow witch wells, and he did all of that kind of stuff. So I feel very comfortable with that I have those generations working through me. So I think that's why it's one of my preferred tools if I was going to pull a tool out. Okay, if a first-time team booked the cabin tomorrow, what 3 things would you tell them to do before they even unpack their gear? I know that you have rules on the board, but
yeah. So what
different
things? Sign the waiver.
Leave a donation.
Yeah, don't even get your shit out the car. Just sign the waiver.
Yeah.
2, anticipate being respectful of all the spirits that are here. That's a deal breaker right off the get-go. If one of them in the parking lot is saying, I'm going in the basement and I'm going to see if I can provoke that thing into doing something, no, you're not doing that because I'm not allowing you to stay. Just prepare to come in with a respectful attitude and to be respectful. I don't want to micromanage them. I suggest to them, take a moment, ground yourself, leave all the trash energy from work, the kids, the craziness that the world has become. Leave all that trash energy out there. Let Mother Earth have that energy back. Ask her to replenish you with nothing but positive, and that should help you get a better investigation.
If you could run one ideal experiment with unlimited time, budget, and support, what would you want to test?
Wow. What would I want to test? I would want to test exactly what energy field powers spirit. Is it lunar? Is it solar bursts? Is it
Human resonance?
yeah, is it human energy, what we put out? Is it, EMF that is naturally emitted from the earth? If there were, unlimited time and unlimited money, and I had a staff that could monitor every single type of energy that we're aware of, watching the Schumann and see what's going on with solar bursts and all of that. That would be where I would have to go with that one.
I love that. Folks, I wanted to ask you guys in the chat, just as we're moving off of food, I see you guys talking about willow witching and stuff like that. What are your thoughts? Like, for evidence, what do you guys not or put the most stock into as far as evidence? Do you need audio? Do you need video, personal experiences? Do you need psychic validation? What do you guys like? What's your own threshold for evidence? I'm all about the personal experience, like more than anything. I think that's what we're wanting, right? Like, we're looking for a personal experience when we go. I would love the personal experience to be backed up with,
Sure.
a couple pieces of equipment would be great, but the personal experiences, I really look to.
And, the personal experiences are great, but unless there's a piece of equipment of some sort that can back it up, that's going to be just a cool story.
For sure. And there's a difference between having an experience to have the experience or doing it as data research. And if you're doing data research, then you need to be doing the same experiments over and over again, using the same, equipment and guidelines and time of day and all those sorts of things. Like, it needs to be more structured.
Well, so the paranormal is never going to be acknowledged by the scientific world because we can't control our environment.
Yeah.
And science, for anything to be proven by science, has to be repeatable. Well, I can't repeat talking to Mr. Curry that died in 1862 on command. It just doesn't work that way. So, the human factor and spirit factor and the spirit factor of, or the human factor of spirit. I don't know how the human factor of spirit.
Yep.
It just doesn't work. One day, Mr. Curry may want to talk to me, and the next day he might want me to just go away and leave him alone. He's got other things to do, and they didn't include yakking with me.
That's right. I sometimes say they just wanted to roll over and have their cigarette. They're done with us now. Like, they're done. They are done for the night.
And that's kind of how I felt talking with my wife's friend's dad, because he just we were talking away. He finished answering a few questions I had, and all of a sudden it was just, he turned and walked away and waved over his shoulder like, I'm done, bro. I guess we're done now.
Funny. Dennis, we need to come to a close. So Mish, we're going to take this question really quickly. Like, we've only got maybe 3 minutes, so we really do need to be mindful, but it's a great question. Mish is asking, do spirits remember our interactions?
Yes, I am convinced. I have asked numerous times, do you remember me being here before? I get an affirmative a lot of the time. I remember several times asking, do you recall this instrument and what I did with it? And I get something to light up to give me the affirmative. And I always explain to them what each gadget is.
Yeah.
So, and how it works and how they can use it to interact with me. And I explain to them, I'm stupid. You have so many advantages over me. I'm stuck in this body and you have that.
Yeah.
And it makes it easy to interact with them.
Yeah, I agree. So we've had it along the bottom, but where would you like people to connect with you to find out more about the Cabin on 360, or how they can book a private group event, be part of the May event, the CabinCon? Yeah.
So I've got a couple of events coming up. March 21, I've got a group called Forgotten Explorations is hosting one. Then I have Southern Fakir Paranormal is hosting one. Then we have CabinCon. I got some big things coming up. But they can find out about all of those on our Facebook page, just the Cabin on 360. They can also go to tco360.com, click the events tab. You'll see what we got going on. Click the booking tab, check out our calendar, see what's available to book your investigation. I've got some of the lowest rates around. Sunday night through Friday night is only $350. Saturday night is only $400. That gets you both buildings and the battlefield grounds out back in the woods. Trails are cut and marked. It's an awesome time for that little bit of money, and that's up to 10 people each night.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's so good. It's always a pleasure having you on the show.
It was my pleasure and my honor. Thank you so much for asking me to come in, Carolyn.
It was great. I enjoy sharing time and energy and space with you, and hopefully we'll get to do it in person someday.
I look forward to it. Hey, May 15th and 16th.
It might be, you know what, if we can do it for 2027, I'm very blessed. I'm very blessed that my calendar is pretty full for 2026 and all the things I get to do. But if we are looking at the 2027 calendar, maybe we need to put something on it and make that happen.
Well, as soon as I have it set in stone that I still have the honor and the privilege of operating the Cabin on 360 through 2027, if I am blessed enough, I will be able to buy it and, be shitloads in debt. But right now I just hold lease on it. So if I'm privileged enough to have ownership of it, or at least still have control in 2027, I would love to have you come down, join us. I'm sure Kim Sage would have a blast hanging out with you.
So, and Lisa Crick, like, we just keep trying to plan time together, and I was trying to coax them up here, but maybe it's needing to happen down there. Thank you so much. Everyone is saying great guest spot tonight. Dennis is a breath of fresh air. Great show. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
I appreciate you, and I appreciate your audience for being so kind and giving an old guy some grace.
Well, I hope you heal quickly and smoothly and with some grace and ease, and enjoy your dinner tonight.
Thank you so much. Y'all have a blessed weekend, and please stay safe. Yeah. Be the smile that you want to see on others' faces. If they don't have one, give them yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Thank you to Joe Montaldo, our owner, Michelle DeRoche, our station manager. Thank you to all of the folks that were in the chat with us tonight and asked questions. I appreciate all of you. Thank you to the United Public Radio Network and the UFO Paranormal Radio Network, 105.3 in the Gulf Coast and 107.7 FM in New Orleans. Have a good weekend. Stay safe, everybody. Good night.